Hey, fabulous friends. It is vlog time. I've been trying to do at least one of these every month, and I realized with seminar and June and then July, it's been crazy. I've not had time to make many videos except for my unit, of course, because they're important to me. So I thought I would come on here because I just got home from seminar a day and a half ago, and I have a topic that I was like, oh yeah, I could talk about this. So I am in my pink Cadillac. You guys, when it is, okay, believe it or not, it can get real hot in Minnesota. People don't believe me, but it can get real hot, like real muggy and real hot. Um, I know there's many of you from the South, and you're like, no, it gets pretty hot here too. We have the both extremes. We have the super duper hot and the super duper cold. So yeah, so I love the air conditioning. I love that it just like fires up and it's cold right away. It's awesome. So you all want to be in here, and I love how quiet it is too. So anyway, first off, it was so super duper duper fun meeting so many of you at seminar this year. Like, oh my goodness, just having you guys come up to me, it was so much fun. Can't wait to see more of you at leadership. And if you're a consultant listening to this, girl, be at leadership, be a director, get into directorship, have fun with us in San Antonio. Like, let's do it. Let's do this. So anyway, so I got home. Frontier Airlines, love you. I got home at midnight on Thursday. It's Saturday today, so I got home midnight Thursday. And Friday I had to drive 6 hours round trip to go pick up my kids from their grandparents' house because my husband always comes with me to seminar, Mr. Darren Schutte. So we got to meet him too. That was fun. And so here's what I want to talk about. So today I have 3 parties in a row. I actually just held one with 8 faces, and now I'm on to a second one with 10 faces, and then my third one has 10 faces. You guys, if you think that you can't see 30 faces in a month, just want to tell you that you can, and I'm going to give you tips. And so really what I want to talk about is how do you fit it all in, right? Like all the things, because I know that you do all the things too. Like you may or may not have kids. It really doesn't matter either way. I feel like even if you don't have kids, you know, like you've got other things that you're doing and that you're a part of, right? Because we're women, we like to be productive, we like to be busy, we like to have things going on. So how do you fit it all in? So the first thing that I'll say, I learned this recently. I thought it was so good. You know, earlier this year, I kind of went through this like period of, I don't think burnout's the right word. And I realized that I wasn't burnout because I was working. I was burnout because there was a lot of energy leaks, right? Like things that were sucking my energy. And so I had to sit down and make a list of, okay, what are the things? And so this is a great exercise for you too. What are the things that drain your energy? It could be Mary Kay things, it could be life things. Like what drains you? Because our energy, right? Like wealth can't follow a low energy source. Wealth is high energy. So low energy does not produce high wealth. Okay, so if your energy is low, what is the source of that? And so some of it was like, let's be honest, I needed to eat healthier. So that's something I can control. But then there were some other things that were draining my energy. And so I did something about it. And that's the important thing is like, what can you do about it? What can you change, shift, talk differently about so that your energy is different? Because high wealth does not follow low energy. High wealth follows high energy. So that's a fun one. But the thing that I've been saying to people lately is if you're feeling just kind of blah, sometimes burnout can manifest itself in the blahs. Sometimes you actually feel burnout. So in November, when I was feeling that, you know what I did? Oh my gosh, sometimes you got to identify the behaviors that you have when you are in burnout. Like I call it your craptastic behavior in burnout. I do not watch a lot of TV. I just don't. It doesn't. I don't know. For me, it's like if there are certain shows that I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta watch that one. But like, I don't know. I just do other things, or I'm outside, or whatever. I'm not judging you if you love TV, P.S., because I have a lot of friends that love TV. But in the month of November, I knew something was up because if you've ever heard of the TV show Suits, okay, this is what Emily Shooty burnout looks like. I watched the entire series, like the entire series of Suits in the month of November. Now, I actually did a training on this at my director meeting for the Ponco area seminar. If you're wondering, the entire series of Suits is almost 84 hours of television. So I watched 84 hours of television in the month of November. Okay, so just, sometimes you got to know what your behaviors look like when you're approaching burnout and when you're in it. And I realized this thing. Okay, so I wasn't burnout because I was doing a lot of parties. People always look at me and go, "You do a lot of parties, like that would make me tired." I'm like, no, it doesn't make you tired. Gloria Mayfield Banks used to always say, "You're not tired, you're broke." Because when you're on vacation and you've got money and you've got time, like you've got all this energy, right? So it's not that. It was just those energy leaks that were happening. And so I had to identify what those were. And some of it was like how I was working with new consultants. And some of it was, just how I'm working with my leaders, just certain things I had to tighten up a little bit, set some boundaries, different things like that. So anyway, so here we are. So here's what I want to say to you, because I think this is a really important thing to write down and remember. We don't get burnout because we're working too much. We get burnout because we aren't 100% sold on the fact that the work that we're doing is going to lead to the payoff that we want. Okay, so I'll say that again. Like, you're not feeling burnout, or you're not sick of parties. You just don't 100% believe that the parties or the things that you're doing and the leads that you're going to get are going to lead to the payoff that you want to have. So, so what would your business look like? I think, gosh, I want to give credit for this. It was, I'll think of the National at 2 in the morning. I remember going to a thing and a National said, if you were guaranteed that the thing you wanted would happen in 5 years, how would you work differently? I think that's another way to kind of word it. But it's true, right? Like, I've been at points in my business where I knew that the answer to getting what I wanted was holding more parties, or just not even more, but just more intentional. I'm always big on that word intentional. Like, you can really do so much more with anything when you're intentional about it. I knew that was the answer, but I kind of went like this, I don't want to do more, I've done that before. And so the thought that always moved me forward was, it's not going to be the same because I'm not the same, because I've decided something differently. And so that could be the thought for you. Like, even if you went to seminar and you feel just kind of changed about something, it's like, okay, the party's moving forward, or the lead generating, or the coaching, or whatever the things are that you need to do more of, or just more intentional of. It doesn't have to be the same because you're not the same, right? Like, you've decided. I think anytime a woman decides something, like, the world takes a breath and something has changed. Like, it's that butterfly effect. And so anytime you've made a true decision about something, you're changed, right? And because you're changed moving forward, the things that you're doing aren't going to be the same. So, okay, so that's just thought one for you. Okay, so how do we fit it all in? Because there's a lot. How do we do things? And so I think the thing that's on my mind is, I think what's preventing a lot of people from moving forward, whether you're a beauty consultant, a director, into the goals that you want, is that, and I've said this for years, and I've probably said this in other videos too, that being self-employed is a skill. It is. It's a skill. You might not think it's a skill, but especially if, I really feel lucky in the sense that I spent about 6 months in a corporate job, and then I bought a business. I bought a stock photo agency. I think I've talked about this before, but I had a different business before Mary Kay, and I grew up on a farm. So, like, I watched my parents have a business, and so I've very much been subjected to an entrepreneurial mindset. And if you grew up in a traditional household where your parents had 9-to-5 jobs and you have a 9-to-5 job, it's not that you can't successfully be self-employed. It's just a skill you're going to have to learn, because you're used to thinking one way, that, like, you go to work, it doesn't matter how much you get done or don't get done, you're done at 5, and then you wake up the next day and you do it again. So being an entrepreneur is a little more fluid and a little bit different. It's instead of thinking, well, I need to work this many hours in a day, it's I need to get so many results in a day. And if it takes me 10 hours to get those results, I'm going to work 10 hours. But if it only takes me 3 hours to get those results, I'm going to work 3 hours. And so it's just like a different way of thinking, right? So, so one thing that I will say is that, and so check yourself on this, right? Is how do you operate when it comes to trips? So I just got home from seminar midnight on Thursday. Okay, it's Saturday morning right now. I'm going to be honest, all I felt like doing yesterday was sleeping because I was exhausted. I had to pick up my kids, so I did that. I came home, I did take an hour and a half nap because it was like nothing productive was happening. But then I'm like, okay, Em, you've got 3 parties in a row tomorrow. You've got to get that done, right? Like you've got to get your party stuff ready. You've got to get your car packed. You've got to get, all the things required to do 30 faces in a dang day, right? Like you got to get all that done. So I did put in a little time last night. And then today I woke up. All I felt like doing was sleeping because I'm still tired. But I'm also excited. It's invigorating to have faces to see right after you do an event like that. And so, but I'm like, you know what? So sometimes as an entrepreneur, right? Just like your normal 9 to 5 job, sometimes you don't feel like going, but you got to show up anyway, right? So you show up. But my point being, I have people in my life that I know who, when they go on a trip, it doesn't matter if it's seminar or vacation or whatever, and it's like the week leading up to the vacation, they can't really focus because they've got to prepare for the vacation. Then they're on the vacation for a week, and then when they get home, they need a week from the vacation or from the trip to, reset and do all my laundry and put all the things away and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to tell you right now that no successful entrepreneur, it doesn't matter if they're in Mary Kay, it doesn't matter if they own some other business, no entrepreneur operates that way. I'm just going to be honest with you. You've got to pivot quickly, and sometimes that requires doing things you don't want to do when you don't feel like doing them. But the exciting thing about it is that's how you move next level in your business. So if you were just at seminar and you're like, oh, I need a week, I got to do all right, friends. So my phone overheated and it shut off. So I'm going to finish this while I'm sitting here in this parking lot. But okay, so how do we fit it in with all of the things? I just gave you some tips just about burnout and whatnot. So the one thing that I will say that I think is really important as an entrepreneur is to look at your month. And if you have a vacation or if you have a conference or if you're gone for work or if you have a lot going on, I really think and believe that this is the key, that you're not going to do less in that month, right? You're going to still be intentional and set a goal. You're not going to do less parties. I don't do less parties when I'm gone. I just have less time to fit in the parties. Okay, so for example, in the month of August, I just got home from seminar. It was August 1st at night, okay? And then my kids go back to school at the end of this month. We are taking a 7-day vacation out to Yellowstone and Jackson Hole just to, before they go back to school. And so, but I have big goals this month. I really set some big goals at seminar. And so I'm not doing less this month. I just have less time to fit it in. And I'm telling you, if you can get in that mindset, it doesn't mean you can't have balance. It doesn't mean that you're running around like a crazy person. You just have to be really intentional and strategic about how you're going to fit all of the things in, because you still need to fit it in. So here are some of my tips for doing that. So first of all, booking smart. I operate better doing 3 parties in a row than I do having 3 separate parties. I've said this before because I get ready once, I pack my car once, I get in the mindset once, and I go and hash out a day. So for example, this weekend, my husband and kids are actually gone right now. They're going to summer camp at this camp we love that my husband and I are both camp counselors and we met at. And so my family is gone, right? So I'm like, sweet. I don't have to worry about, like being home or anything like that. So I'm going to be smart with that time. and I'm going to hash it out. So I have 3 parties in a row today. I'll probably be around 28 to 30 faces just today. I have 3 in a row tomorrow. And then I have a party Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week. So it's just like, I actually figured out I will have 15 parties if they all hold, which they're not, right? I'll probably end up having about 12 parties by the 15th of the month. And I leave on, I believe it's the 18th or 19th, right? So it is still completely possible, but it's going with that mindset. And I really think that I learned that being a farm kid. Like, it didn't matter if I didn't feel good or we were going on vacation or what, like the cows still got to eat. And so, you have to figure out like, okay, well, who's going to feed them while you're gone? And then but ahead of time you get a lot of the feed and stuff like stocked up and ready so that whoever's feeding them, it's really easy. It's just like getting ready to go when you have kids, right? And someone's coming to watch your kids. It's like the exact same thing. So some of you have that experience. So get in that mindset of, I'm not doing less this month. I've just got to figure out how I'm going to fit it in. And sometimes, it might mean that some months you do more virtual because that's what's going to work. Like, you're having to be at a cabin or at I don't know, a different location because you're taking care of your elderly mom. Could you do virtual parties from there? So what does that month look like, and make that happen, because you can still do really big things even when you have a lot going on. But it's having that mindset. The other thing that I have switched, okay, is I've switched from a 6 most important things list. Stay with me on this. And I wake up every day now and think, what are my 3 most important results today? And here's why. Sometimes, okay, if you have the discipline, if you truly feel like, I'm good at being self-employed, you can have a 6 most important things to do list, because you're not just checking boxes. I think some of us have a 6 most important things to do list so we can feel good about checking boxes. And I am never a believer in checking boxes. I understand that there are tasks and things that need to get done. I totally get that. But the one thing that I'm really trying to shift, even with my own team, is instead of just like doing a task and checking a box, really executing on that task. So let me just give you an example. Sometimes I feel like consultants are out there getting leads all the time, but they don't really have the bookings. And it could be a skill in booking, but I think sometimes it's like we just go get leads and say, oh, I'm working my business, check, I did it, things are going to come from this. But you guys, it's again, that word intention is so big. It's like, I'm getting leads with the intention of converting or executing, right, those into bookings, with the intention of converting or executing those into full circle parties where I'm booking, selling, team building, and I'm converting that into customers and team members, right? So I told my unit, I'm like, I want us to be executioners this year, meaning we're executing on things. We're not just checking boxes. And so wake up tomorrow, try it for a week. What are my 3 most important results today? Maybe it's get a booking, do an interview, and I don't know, make a sale, right? What are my 3 results that I need to get today? And your mind is a little different than just saying, oh, I'm going to reach out to 10 contacts. Okay, that's fine. I get that we kind of got in this, like, let's celebrate the small successes. That's what my unit name is. But we also need to execute and get those results too. So that's one thing to try. All right. Hey again. Sorry this video is so all over the place, but my phone kept overheating. So it would not allow me to make my video. So quick update before I go into free days, focus days, and buffer days, because this is how, and I learned this from that book I've been telling everyone about, the 10x is easier than 2x, but just how I've kind of redone my schedule to fit everything in, but just feel really good about it. But I just got done with my 3rd party today, so I saw 27 faces today, so that was super fun. And just kind of a fun little thing, so my last party, they were all from Brazil and spoke Portuguese, so only one person spoke English, but we just had a blast. They bought almost $700, loved the skincare, it was amazing. So total today, I sold just shy of $1,700, saw 27 faces, booked, gosh, I don't even know, I got like 3 parties booked. And then like actual book, with the dates, there's some more that have to get me dates, so I'll work on that. and then new team member on the spot, and 2 more working on it. So lots of things to follow up on and whatnot. Okay, so back to, thinking like an entrepreneur. We've talked about, you don't do less, you just have less time to fit it in. So one thing that's really been helping me is just grouping things together a little bit. So there's 3 types of days. There's free days, focus days, and buffer days. Okay, so let's start with focus days. Focus days are where we as in us, Mary Kay people, should do like the majority of your most important tasks, right? And so I found it really helpful to group them together, which is why earlier I said I enjoy days like today where I have 3 in a row, because it's a focus day for me. I know that I'm going to be on all day. I know I'm going to be in front of people all day. I know I have to have makeup on all day. I know I have a dress on all day. And I'm out seeing people, I'm interviewing, I'm selling, I'm booking, I'm doing all the things. So now it doesn't always work out that every time I have a party, it's a focus day. But I find, so what I've switched is I've always kind of done 3 in a row in-person parties, if possible. But I've switched my virtual a little bit. So I do our team meetings virtual. I do a team guest event virtual. I do Peek into Pink. I do One Woman Can, which is like another marketing event. I do all of that virtually. And the thing that, I'm just going to say it, I feel like the virtual world ruined my rest, because I would do something. I would say, oh, it's virtual. I can just go in my office and do it quick. Like, I don't have to leave my house. I'll just do it quick, right? And so then I felt like I always had an event. And for me, I'm not as natural at virtual stuff. I do a lot of virtual stuff, but I haven't mastered it in the same way that I have in-person things. I have to think really hard, or at least harder than doing an in-person appointment to do a virtual one. So I have found that Mondays work really good for me to have as much virtual stuff as possible. So for example, my national does like a noon call for leaders. Then there might be a director call that I have to be on. Then I might do a Peek into Pink at 6 o'clock, a virtual beauty bash at 7 o'clock, and then my meeting is at 8 o'clock. And it just really works for me to kind of group it all together, because again, I'm on once, I know I have to be virtual, because I found that even if I had one single virtual meeting at night, like all day long, it would kind of wreck my focus, because I would be thinking about how I had that virtual event later. It would just kind of like be on my mind. And so I found it doesn't always work perfectly. Okay, I'm not saying like, only work 2 days a week, because that's not what I do. But just as much as we can group things together, I think it's really helpful. Now, for me, doing in-person parties, I don't have to think about that. It is like riding, no, it's easier than riding a bike. I'm going to be honest with you. I've done so many in-person things that it's like easier than riding a bike for me. So I don't have to, that doesn't ruin my focus. So I can do a party at night and I'm not necessarily thinking about it all day, but I do like to have some nights where I just have nothing, right? Okay, so that's a focus day. It's where you're spending the day just like doing like your 20% most important tasks. Okay, then you have a buffer day. Buffer days are my favorite. Okay, so buffer days are where you prepare for your focus days, like, which in our world translates into like, that's when you're booking, that's when you're getting customer promotions out, that's when you're, getting stuff ready for the parties and for the virtual things that you're doing. And that's where you're booking interviews. That's where, so it's kind of like the office time, but like the important office time. Not labeling products does not count in buffer days. Now, the reason I love buffer days, I also call buffer days ugly days. Okay, I know other people in the Mary Kay world have ugly days. Maybe you're someone who enjoys like getting all like glamazon every day. I am not. I don't mind it. I like to look good. Who doesn't? But I love days. Okay, so this is what a buffer day looks like for me. I wake up and I have my like 3 results that I really want to get that day, but then I also have like, okay, here's the things that I need to hash out. Like we've got, as a director, it's a little different because you're Your buffer days also include like unit promotions and things you have to get out for the team. And so I will, do my workout or go on a walk just to center myself, and then I'll go into town and I will go to Quick Trip, which is like a really famous gas station around here, and I will get the biggest fountain Diet Coke they have. I love Diet Coke. And I will bring that baby home, and that is like my focus day drink. Maybe coffee's your drink, go for it. I'm not a coffee drinker. And then I just sit in my office, and I am not cute. Like, I'm wearing stretchy pants. I'm comfortable. I'm wearing whatever I want to wear. If it's winter time, I'm really cozy in like a wearable blanket thing. Not cute. Like, I'm not getting on camera this day. I'm not doing Zooms. I'm not doing that kind of stuff, because I am in my office hashing out the world, focusing on that stuff, right? Like the buffer days. So those are really fun for me, because that's where I get to put my creativity into action, into, it could be phone calls. I could be following up on interviews and things like that. And then there's free days. Now, I don't necessarily take a whole day. It might be an afternoon. But a free day is where you allow yourself time to just be creative, to just think. You don't have a specific task. I'm not necessarily doing laundry or household stuff. That's why I do like an afternoon, because, with kids and all the 20 billion things I have going on, sometimes it's hard to take a whole day. But if I can squeeze in at least an afternoon where I just get to, it's almost like you just get to think about nothing if you want, and there's no pressure to come up with anything. There's no pressure to think of an idea. Maybe it's you get to go and do something you really enjoy, like, I don't know, walk around TJ Maxx and touch blankets and sniff candles. I mean, like, whatever, right? It's just like you get to just mentally go somewhere. It doesn't have to be shopping, but it could be, you just go on a walk. And it's not exercise. It's just like, you're just listening to your favorite music, or maybe you meet up with a friend for lunch. But you just kind of get to have that time, because what happens is, and here's what I'll say too, the higher up you get, okay, so just keep this in mind, because this is something that I wish I would have been taught or just known. A lot of times when you move into a new level in the business, and this goes for anything. It could apply to Mary Kay, it could apply to anything, really. You've maybe heard people say new level, new devil. Well, here's the devil, if you really want to know what it is. It's that as you go higher up in anything, it becomes more imperative. In fact, it's no longer optional to have that kind of rest, right? Where it's like intentional rest, where you get to think about nothing, because it's in that rest where your creativity gets unlocked, right? Like when you have free days where you're just allowed to think about whatever and there's no pressure, that's really when you unlock your creativity. And what is it my director friend Julie Danskin always says is that creativity is the currency of your divine download. Like when you're going for your goals, or you're in the flow of what you're supposed to be doing in your life, creativity is the currency of that. And so you have to give yourself some time to do that. Now, if you have kids, this is where it gets tricky. And I want to say this because I mean it. I used to have this theory that anyone with kids over 2 has forgotten what it's like to have kids under 2. And I stand by that. And my kids are 12 and 8. Okay. So I understand those days were little kid days were the hardest for me, because there's never, I'm sure any moms listening to this with kids under 2 are like, girl, I wish I had an hour where I didn't have to think about anything. So I get it. It definitely is harder, especially if you're trying to operate at a high level, and you have little kids. It's no small thing, right? So it might just be an hour for you, or maybe it's your little one is in the stroller sleeping, hopefully, or snacking, and you have the ability to just go on a walk. And one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten, okay, is take them outside or put them in water. Now, if you're wondering what that advice is about, it's not about plants. It's about children. Like when your kids are having a tantrum, take them outside or put them in water, right? So going on a walk or taking a bath. Now, I've taken this a step farther. I believe this to be true for adults. Okay, so when when I had little kids, and just for the record, I don't do little kids well. It was not my strength. I'm much better, much more equipped. The older ones. Some people are more used to babies. It was not. I mean, they were delightful and it was a fun season, but like, no thanks. Okay, just being real with you. But if you like enjoy that season, enjoy it. It's okay. Like, I enjoyed parts of it, but when I needed, when you just have a day like where your kids are teething or it's just like really hard, I would take a shower. Or like if you don't have kids and something bad happens in your business, like someone quits or someone says something mean to you, or they're like, I hate MLMs, or all the crap we get from people, blah, blah, blah. And it's affecting you, take yourself outside or put yourself in water. I have found that, I've had people going through DIQ and they're not sure how they're going to finish. Take them outside or put them in water. Like they would go on a walk or they would take a shower. And it's amazing what you can think of and do when you take yourself outside and put yourself in water. In fact, one of my unit members bought me this like really cute sign that said, all my good ideas come in the shower. And then they took it a step farther and they bought me these shower notes. Like you can buy waterproof paper that goes in your shower. It's brilliant. Because I think of all of my good ideas in the shower, because when you're taking a shower, you're not thinking about anything. It's like your creativity gets unleashed. I've also found that putting myself in nature does that too. So going on a walk in the woods, because I live, as you can see, all the beautiful Minnesota trees going by. I live right next to a county forest, and so I can go right in that woods and take myself outside, right? But it's not in an exercise way. It's just like I'm just going on a walk to just clear my mind and maybe listen to some encouraging music or whatever. Um, so looking at those 3 days, okay, thinking of what are my three most important results? Like, what are my three results I want to get today? And then just really looking at how long is it taking me to pivot when I take vacations and when I go places? Like, am I able to pivot within a day? Or do I feel like, I don't want to use the word entitled, but do I feel like, oh, I've got to take 2 weeks off to recover from this, whatever? Because the faster you can, like, and even leading up to a trip, not getting so distracted with packing and like, buying clothes and all that stuff. In fact, here's a fun tip. Um, One day I was like, wait a minute, I'm a beauty consultant. I get 50% off this product. And so I decided, since I travel enough, I opened a whole roll-up bag with doubles of everything I use, like all my skincare, all my makeup, my toothbrush, and stuff never gets unpacked out of that bag. Like it is just my travel roll-up bag for real. And I don't, you know what I mean? Because it takes time to take things out of one bag and stick it in your normal bag. Girl, you got 50% off, right? Like open a new bag. So little things like that have really helped me just kind of, pivot faster after that stuff. And then, really switching your mindset to that entrepreneurial, like, I'm going to work till I get the results that I need. I'm going to just be a little more focused and intentional. I'm going to make sure that, yes, if I'm gone in a month, totally cool to take vacations. Girl, go for it, right? You don't have to wait till you have all your ducks in a row to go on vacation. That's for sure. You need that rest. It's important. As you go higher up, um, you need that rest. But just know that it might mean you have less time in a month to get things, to get your goals together and to have things kind of come together, but that you could still do really big things. So just kind of these little things are what add up in a year to trips, add up to Cadillacs, add up to directorship, add up to a customer base with 100 or more skincare customers. But we've just got to think about it, right? And for some of you, it might mean switching your mindset from that, kind of 9 to 5 type work, just mindset. It's not even that it has nothing to do with working 9 to 5. It's just thinking more like an entrepreneur and how they would. So I hope this helps you, and I hope you have a fabulous day. It was great, again, seeing so many of you at seminar, and I can't wait to see a lot of you in San Antonio this year for leadership. So we'll see you.